At this stage, you have seen the latest RTX 50 series releases from Nvidia, the RTX 5080 and the RTX 5090, which were technically paper launch. And because of limited supplies, they were overpriced and immediately became out of stock and were even scalped. I think it's time for us to talk about this issue and why I think as a PC gaming community, we will continuously end up shooting ourselves in the foot, and unfortunately there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, let's talk about the current state. We have Nvidia, who holds almost 90% of the market share for PC gaming graphics, and Nvidia is amazing at marketing, announcing the RTX 50 series was spectacular. Gamers see the pricing, the new tech, the magical frames, and everyone is excited. AMD, Nvidia's current competitor, has given up on the high-end and has not even decided to show up for the fight. This gives Nvidia another perfect opportunity for this generation. Now, gamers line up for the next-gen graphics camping, while Nvidia, according to rumors, had intentionally limited the supply of the 50 series cards. This creates the perfect storm. Aftermarket manufacturers released overpriced models, the bots were able to snag the limited online supply, and there were only a few people who end up buying the limited stocks, and some eventually ended up scalping for their own gains. Okay, so let's talk about pricing. The RTX 5090, which is the current flagship, has an MSRP of $2,000. But the reality is, this price is rare and most products actually sold for more than that. Heck, if you look at the local pricing where I'm currently based, I think this is insane. And people will still buy this. That's equivalent to $3,225 US excluding taxes. And for the same price, you can buy a reliable daily car here, or even maybe 3 gaming PCs. And no, I'm not complaining about whether the top 1% who can actually buy these things easily, because it's nothing for them. I'm advocating for the majority of PC gamers who will find this pricing a lot. Sure, some people will just say, that's simple bro, just don't be poor. But the reality is, if this trend continues, we might eventually get to a point where owning hardware for PC gaming may not be accessible anymore to most people. And we may eventually be pushed to cloud gaming as a standard, which is, yes, that would be another subscription, and that would be a really sad reality. But let's step back. How did we get here? Let's go back in time. 2016. That's almost 10 years ago. The Nvidia GTX 10 series was launched, and it was a huge leap compared to its previous generation. The next year, the legendary GTX 1080 Ti was Nvidia's new flagship, and it was an amazing product with 11 gigabytes of VRAM and was only priced at $700. However, something happened in 2017. Bitcoin soared and the crypto mining boom followed. At this stage, AMD's mid-range cards like the RX 570s and RX 580s were the cards of choice for miners because AMD had a GPU which was really good at computing. When AMD cards dried up, miners start grabbing Nvidia cards, the GTX 1060, 1070, 1080s, 1080 Ti's, and with this new demand, Nvidia had ordered a lot of cards for production. But when these arrived, the Bitcoin cycle was already over. So they ended up holding the bag with a lot of excess cards produced. And Nvidia learned from this experience. And because of their losses, their next generation came with an expensive price tag. The flagship, RTX 2080 Ti, was a small upgrade compared to the GTX 1080 Ti. But it came with 12 gigabytes of VRAM and a whopping $1,200 price tag. Yep, that's almost double the price. And here's the thing, ray tracing was a new thing back then, but they used it as a selling point. And they still managed to dominate the market because there is no competition. AMD only had a mid-range RX 5700 XT, which arguably had issues at launch. On the next generation, Nvidia got a good deal from Samsung because of its inferior node, and were able to produce their new flagship, the RTX 3080, which was priced at only $700 but came with 10 gigabytes of VRAM. And this time around, Nvidia experimented and introduced a higher tier card on the GeForce lineup, which isn't a Titan class, and this is the RTX 3090. It came with a whopping 24 gigabytes of VRAM, but also came with a $1,500 price tag. Obviously, a lot of people wanted the 3080, but the 3090 was something Nvidia wanted to see if gamers have the willingness to pay extra for that. A little bit more and a lot more of VRAM. Then, the crypto boom happened.
My personal view, and based on some of the data that we're seeing, I think that we can expect that to continue here, at least for the short to medium term.
Coupled with logistics issues with a pandemic, and at this stage, Nvidia realized that gamers were indeed willing to pay as long as you put something interesting on the higher end. And the next generation, the flagship, which is now the RTX 4090, is now priced at $1,600 US. This came with a huge leap in raw performance at the same 24GB VRAM, and gamers were all willing to pay. Then the AI boom happened, which made securing an RTX 4090 harder on the later part of its cycle. AI companies now became Nvidia's main customers, and here we are now. The flagship RTX 5090 comes with 32GB of VRAM, a slight bump in rasterization performance, but is now priced at $2,000. And we're still gobbling it up, lining up, camping to get that new card. The RTX 5070 is now at $1,000. Yes, it's an RTX 5070 according to the analysis of some reviewers. Branded as an RTX 5080, but is actually a 70 class. And we, as a community, continues to consume all of this. And take note, we are now second-class customers. We are just taking scraps from the AI companies. They know that we will always buy whatever we're given because we can't help it. And yes, I know there are a lot of economic factors currently in the world post the pandemic. However, this leap in pricing for getting a little bit more is unsustainable for a community, but unfortunately, we can't help it. And yes, sure, there will be mid-range options, but with the flagship pricing scaling up, it will only be a matter of time before the mid-range pricing follows suit. Heck, even the entry price may go up as well. And this is mainly because there is no competition. And no, please don't tell me AMD is there to counter Nvidia. Fact of the matter is, people are cheering for AMD to compete, but they don't really buy their products. They're only saying this so they can buy an Nvidia card at a cheaper price. This is a hot take, but hear me out. The PC gaming community unconsciously prefers to have an Nvidia monopoly rather than to try other products such as AMD or Intel. The reason? Because Nvidia is a safe bet, or I'm just used to Nvidia. All those things. Now let's compare this to a different market. Let's say Apple and its iPhone. Every year, Apple releases a new iPhone, and every year they invest more in R&D, and they always demand the newest node from TSMC, which is really expensive. If you look at their pricing, it has been steady for the standard iPhone. However, they did introduce higher tiers later on, and yes, it's gradually going up, but not as insane as our graphic. I know their business model is different, but hardware is hardware. So, are we doomed? I am not certain. However, I am beginning to think that we are definitely leaning towards it. The next generation flagship might get us another upgrade in performance, small or big, but I'm certain if nothing else changes, it will come with another price premium on top of what we already have. At this stage, I think I'll probably focus more on value-oriented products for our hardware reviews, maybe more on CPUs because it's cheaper, and maybe on used GPUs. And yeah, this is the first time I've done a commentary piece for our channel, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. Please put it down in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree with my perspective? Let me know why. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Ladies and gentlemen, the GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, faster than a Titan X. All of that for $699.